This confused people in Jesus' day as well. Jesus said, you got to love your neighbor as yourself. A guy goes, well, who's my neighbor? He's really trying to get around on a technicality. I don't know. If they don't live next to me, they're not my neighbor, right? I mean, if I don't know their first name, they're not my neighbor, right? I mean, if they don't live in my town, they're not my neighbor, right? You know, Jesus gives the Samaritan story. Or how about where Jesus says, if you give a cup of cold water in my name, you've done it. To the least of these, you've done it unto me. And so Jesus is showing you what this expression looks like. At that day, you will know that I am in my Father. You're in me. I'm in you. 21, he who has my commandments and keeps them, it is he who loves me. He who loves me will be loved by my Father. I will love him and manifest myself to him. The word manifest is reveal. Jesus tells you to keep my commandments. He says nothing about keeping the Mosaic commandments. He says keep my commandments. Before the Gospels are over, he's going to tell you his commandment. My commandment is that you love one another as what? As I have loved you. Law says love your neighbor as yourself. New covenant says love one another as I've loved you. You're never going to know how to do that if you don't know you're loved. So my commandment is first and foremost, know that you are loved, and then reciprocate that love to your neighbor. The more you know you are loved, the more you are able to love in return. Man keeps my commandments, I reveal myself to him. Judas, not Iscariot, there's 2 Judases in the 12, says to Jesus, this is an amazing question. It's an obvious question, but a good one. Lord, how is it, watch this, how is it that you'll manifest yourself to us but not to the world? How can we see you and they can't see you? Because you're talking about disappearing. Okay? We don't even think that's possible for you to disappear. But let's say you do. How could you reveal yourself to us but not reveal yourself to the world? 23. Jesus answered and said to him, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word. My Father will love him. We will come to him and make our home with him. Where does God live? In us. Not in a distant place on the other side of a planet. Not sitting on a throne with Jesus sitting right there on the right hand. You go, Pastor, you keep saying that, but doesn't the Bible say Jesus is sitting at the Father's right hand? Yes, it does say Jesus is sitting at the Father's right hand. It also says he is, behold, he is as a lamb that was slain. He's not running around like a previously deceased lamb in heaven. It's an allegory. It's a sign to show you that Jesus has shed his blood for you. Sitting at the right hand of the Father is a sign to show you that Jesus is working on your behalf. That Jesus is doing something for you. That Jesus has the right hand power of the king. That whatever the king says goes, and Jesus is that king with you. We will make our home with him. I don't want to stay here too long. Many of you have heard our teachings, know where we go with this. This is one of 2 times the Greek word monē is used. Monē is the word home or abode. Give me the end of that. Yeah, there it is. We will come and make our home with him. The only other time this appears is at the top of the 14th chapter where Jesus says, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. I go to prepare a place for you. Remember this? In my Father's house are many what? We all still quote that King James. Did you notice that? We do, because we love mansions. I'm amazed. Everybody always goes to me, I love the new translations. I don't read the old one. And then you start quoting John 14:1. Everybody's waiting on a mansion. In my Father's house are many mansions. King James loved that word, mansions. Mansions gives me the idea that when I get to heaven, I got a big, big, big estate. White picket fence around it, multi-car garage, all my dead dogs from my childhood are there. Right? So I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm just going to lay that out there. That's what we believe. Because you can lose people fast if Fido's not in heaven. I've learned a lot of things you can turn crowds off with. That is one of the top ones right there. So I'll just leave that between you and the Lord. I got some real serious looks coming at me right now. We're going to come and make our monē. There's the Greek word. We're going to come and make our house with him. I wish the translators, even in the old King James, would have left it the same in both spots. You realize what that would have done to our psyche? Behold, I go to prepare a place. In my Father's house are many mansions. And then you skip all the way down to 23. If you're in my Father's in you, would come make our mansion in you. It would have changed the way we perceive what's going to happen to us. Instead of looking forward to a house someday, we'd know we have one right now. Instead of putting a separation between us and God, believing He's way over there, we're way over here, we would realize that He's dwelling inside of us right now. The Father lives in me and I live in Him. There is no separation. There is no distance. Any separation that I have is an illusion. I've made it up. Any separation that I have, I've believed a lie. And that lie is damning me to a life of condemnation on this earth. I'm walking condemned. I'm chained. I've given up my individual liberty so that I can try to live up to someone else's idea. I'm trying to perform for a God who's already been sufficiently performed for. The work has been finished on our behalf.